All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is my buddy Chris Webb. I have been following this guy for a while now. We have a mutual friend that we have actually met through. So, Chris, you and I have never crossed paths physically. We were supposed to one time. I think I ended up having to bail out because of work. But Chris and his wife are just absolutely crushing. I'm gonna let Chris tell you where he's from, what he's got going on, and kind of where he's at with the outlook of life, dads, and being a grandfather, what that looks like 2 generations down. So, Chris, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being here, being part of the Dad Connection, getting us started off, and a place where dads can come and connect, get some inspiration from people like yourself, hear mindsets from not only business owners, but just dads general, just being real, what you've been through, where you're at, the platforms your brother, share what you can.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you even doing this and putting this together and having this resource hub for people to come and hopefully gain some insight on different things. And I think that's the most important thing for all of us moving forward, talking about dads and um, you mentioned that, yeah, Chris and his wife are crushing, and I'm thinking about what that means and where I've been in life and stuff. And so I'm having these quick questions in my head, like, okay, what is crushing? What does that mean?
Right.
And so I believe that we can only really get some polarity from where we've been to where we are now,
True.
for all of us, right?
Very
And
true.
so I think about the number one factor in any growth in any area of our life is going to be mindset. And so that's why I really appreciate what you're doing right now, because this is mindset. This isn't, hey, come to this Zoom and you're going to learn how to make,
Right.
X amount of money a month. It's not come to the Zoom and learn how to lose 50 pounds. It's not come to the Zoom and learn how to have more sex with your wife or whatever. It's
Right.
really come here and get some brain food, hopefully through stories and insights and awarenesses. Um,
Absolutely.
so I'm not sure how far back you want me to go, brother, because my story
It's hey, listen, the platform is yours. Your story, I know it just from our conversations, and of course, me being a follower of what you've been doing and the connection. For me, man, your story is amazing. And I think that's probably one of the most inspirational things for me watching you, because we're all watching each other. That's what we do. We're brothers watching out for brothers. We're looking at each other. We're there to help out, and we're there to cheer. Because you know me, I tear your feeds up. I'm posting stuff like I love to see people crushing. I love to see people winning. I love to see people just doing good. So, brother, it's listen. This is a paid for Zoom, so we got plenty of time. It's really up to you how far you want to jump back. But I think honestly, man, if you're comfortable, your story is always been super inspiring to me. Um, and I reflect on it a lot when I'm thinking about things, when I'm putting stuff like this together. You're one of the first people that came to my mind. I was like, I got to have Chris on here. His story is what is encouraged me. Watching his journey has definitely boosted my spirits at time. Of course, when we traveled back from Florida last year, and I shared with you things that were going through my mind coming back from Florida back to North Carolina. You've been there. You were there. You checked up. You checked in on social media. Like you were there, and that camaraderie is what this is all about. So it's all yours. You go back as far as you want to go.
um, right on, bro. So I guess okay, so just a little backstory on me. So I'm 52 years old. Um,
But you
my
can't
life,
tell. You absolutely can't tell that.
thanks, brother. I've been working on that, right? Trying to age backwards. Um, but the majority of my life was spent just partying from high school days moving forward. That's pretty much what I knew is kind of party lifestyle. Drank, smoked cigarettes. My whole I should say adulthood or young adulthood, up until my 40s. So just a little quick blurb on how that switched is that I was getting ready to turn 40, And I remember saying, man, something's got to change, because I was not making good decisions at all. And I believe that I did make a change. The problem was is I changed for the worst. And I don't know if it was self-sabotage or what it was, but I feel like from 40 to 41, I actually went even more backwards, if you will. And I remember looking in the mirror and just being like, what the fuck? What did I do to myself? Like, what,
Right.
there are so many times where I just avoided the mirror, just avoided the mirror. And I think we've all done that. Like we look and we don't want to see the things that we don't want to see.
Right.
And we do see the things we do want to see. It's like, we choose what we want to accept sometimes. And so there was a lot of me that was just avoiding that man in the mirror. And so there was two really significant points of my life. One was at 41 when I was at a Thanksgiving dinner, and me and my brother, we partied a lot, and we stayed up all night partying. Family came back the next day from Thanksgiving. I don't know if it was pre-Thanksgiving, post, it doesn't matter. It was a 2-day event. So one day, and they came back the next day. Well, we were still up partying. And I remember the younger kids who looked up to me, whether I was uncle or whatever, uncle, cousin, and stuff like that. I remember the disappointment, like they could tell, right? And
Right.
I couldn't hide it. And they could tell. And I remember the disappointment. And I was like, man, fuck, this is horrible. I remember having a conversation with my wife. We drove back from that. It's like, man, I I need to do something. She's like, I'm on board. Let's do something. So we started working on our health and wellness. And what that meant is that, okay, I'm going to start working out. Actually she grabbed Insanity, that home workout. I
Oh
grabbed
yeah. Yeah.
P90X.
Yeah.
And we just took off with it. So we just committed, right? Let's just see what happens type thing. And the crazy thing is we didn't give up drinking and smoking, and went through those workout programs, ended up losing 50 pounds apiece, and kind of started this journey of let's help others, because people were seeing this, and we share a lot on social media. So
Sure.
we were
Yeah.
sharing this, we were doing this, we were doing this. Um, Kind of got involved in the marketing side of it. I didn't realize that when we first got the programs, hey, there's a business side of it. You can share it, you can make some money, kind of like affiliate type thing and
Yeah.
business and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. If we can help others and get paid, I'm in. So we did that. And however, there was this this strong hypocrite side,
Right.
because we go smash a workout and then go smash back patio time, which was just getting hammered and still smoking and stuff like that. And we never, I never claimed that I quit drinking and smoking and stuff
Right.
when at that time, just never brought it up.
Right.
And
Right.
and I was just living that lifestyle of, man, this is really hard and this really sucks. However, we did want to continue just improving ourselves. So we were moving forward doing that. But I couldn't kick the drinking thing, man. It was so hard. And when I drank, I smoked. And so those were hand in hand. So I was 41 when that happened. And I don't know. I should know how old I was, but I know it was 8 years ago. I guess it would be 9 years this year. 9 years ago, I was in the back, uh, on the back patio, and in one of the states of drinking and smoking and stuff. And my son had made a comment, so our kids were still living with us, and they were getting older now. And of course, our kids see everything that we do, you know.
Absolutely.
And but again, I was avoiding that as well. Like, oh, we're on the back patio, they can't see us. Oh, fuck, what am I thinking? Really, right? Can't see us.
Uh,
And I remember, I don't remember what my son said, but he said something, but I remember what I said. And
right.
I said exactly what was said to me when I was a kid. And that was, do as I say, not as I do. Because he had made a comment about drinking. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't believe that those words came out of my mouth, because I never thought about it before. I
Right.
remember those words. And it wasn't until the next morning that, I don't know, remember, people have experienced, if you experience like the morning after, right? So you're like, God, what did I do last night? And what are the things I went through, and going through the file cabinet of what took place last night?
Yeah.
And that popped up and I was like, I can't believe I said that. Can't believe I said that. And it still gets me. So many times I tried to quit drinking over my
Right.
life. It was so hard. But that hit and I was like, fuck, okay, that's it. That's it. I'm done. And I remember I was like, I knew from fitness and health and wellness that accountability was huge for me on social media. If I said I was going to do something, I'm going to have all these
But
people
yeah.
watching me, you know. So I remember writing a post and saying, new chapter, I'm done. And yeah, that was September 9, I guess 9 years ago, whatever the date is. So 15, right? 2015. And so yeah, I quit drinking, quit smoking, and my life just really made a huge shift from there. Um, so that was kind of a long, a long little story there, but
It had purpose, brother. It had purpose.
so we stayed in so during this time of that time of my life, we were digging more into this online business thing. My wife had a solid career. Like, so when I met her, she made all the great decisions, like in
Right.
her age, and I did not.
Right.
And so so I didn't really bring anything to the table as a man financially. I brought nothing financially, and I had to learn that later that that isn't what she wanted from me. Otherwise, she would have
Right.
found some guy who was making, all the money if that's what she wanted. She
Right.
didn't. She wanted someone who was whole and who was me and who was honest and things like that. So anyways, and even to this day, I still struggle with it. I still struggle with um the feelings of I need to provide financially and like that my mind goes there a lot and I have to remember that that's not my sole role as a man for her. And that's what's most important. Is it for me or is it for her? Is it for me? Is it for her? If I'm trying to uh I don't even know what the word would be, but um is that what I really need to be bringing to the table? Which I think all of it really bring to the table, but I just had way too much focus on finances for a long time. But anyways, let me back up. So I started learning a lot about online marketing, network marketing. We ended up with the company that we were with the P90X and Insanity and stuff like that. We kind of ran that course. I
Mhm.
wanted to help people win. We were helping people win with their health and wellness, and that was great.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, that was great. However, it wasn't providing the income that I was looking for because I wanted to build a larger online business.
Sure.
And so it kind of ran its course, and I had our feelers out for other things. My wife came across something else online, and or you're familiar with those keto drinks, right? So came
Right.
across that, and I thought it was the diet. And I was out, didn't want anything to do with the diet. Heard it was a drink. I was back in at least to research it. So we ended up trying that. Loved the product, and like, man, we can really help a lot of people win with this in their health and wellness. And if if we can help some people win financially, then great, because I already know this other company isn't. So kind of made the switch, did that, and started seeing people win right away. And
Right.
so like, okay, so this is great. So I had been sober for just a couple years at that time, and I was miserable to be honest with you. I had lost myself being sober. I felt like I lost my happy hour. I lost my like I wasn't that fun guy anymore. Like I didn't even want to be around myself. I didn't even know why my wife wanted to be around me, and it
Right.
was just I just felt like I was miserable. And maybe I wasn't so bad on the outside, but I felt like it on the inside. And I was
Yeah.
lost. I didn't know who I was sober. I
Right.
didn't know. I didn't even know how to deal with anything. And I couldn't get out into crowds. My anxiety was through the roof and just felt like someone was always breathing down my neck. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But it was time and it was actually getting really serious with what I was fueling my body with. and getting around the right people and getting the right mindset. And so a lot of things shifted when we shifted companies. I kind of also shifted. I dug more into personal development,
Right.
personal growth, and surrounding myself with the right people. And I did the same thing with my social media, meaning that I started setting boundaries with my social media and raising my standards there. And you had said something earlier about sometimes you feel like you're being too honest, like with clients and stuff. And I actually leaned into that hardcore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to speak my mind and just be
Yeah.
completely honest. And if people don't like me, people don't like me. And I don't care, because guess what? Not everyone's going to like me. And the sooner that I come to grips with that, the more I can just be myself. And I learned that if I can give myself permission to be myself, then I'm automatically giving other people permission to be themselves. And I think that's what the world needs more of. And so that shift kind of started taking place. I guess after I really dug into self-awareness, which was, I mean, if you're watching this and you're not quite sure exactly like what that means, I mean, for me, because I think it's different for everybody, but for
Sure.
me, it was books, just getting in or developing the ritual of reading in the mornings, listening to the right podcasts, going to events is huge, because there's that feeling. It's like watching a concert on TV or going to a concert, watching a football game or going to a football game,
Yeah.
watching someone speak on stage or being in the crowd, right? And those things like became very much a priority in my life. And I don't think the same as I did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, and hopefully a week ago, right? I always want my goal is to always be evolving. And I believe it was John Maxwell was talking about, his dad reading personal development in his 90s,
Right.
having the book.
Right. Yeah.
I want to be like my dad. I don't ever want to quit learning. And so from there, or I should say from there, but over this time, um, our mindset, I say our because my wife and I are like this, our mindsets have just shifted in a way that we are so open to growth, um, and language and responsibility and language and taking personal responsibility in everything that we do and say and all of those things, that right there has shifted so much, in
Right.
how we operate on a day to day. And
Right.
so I don't know, I kind of feel like I was
No,
all over
no,
the
man.
map
Listen,
there.
you know, I'm tracking right where you're at, and I think everything that you have dropped up to this point has just been immense amount of gold, right? I think a big factor in it is you dropping the timelines, right? So timelines are immense, and this is where I think so many people struggle, especially when it comes to the role of the father, the role of the man in the house, is that we want to do so good in so many areas, right? Whether it be leadership or it be provision or it be the role model, but we want to be there overnight, right? We
Mhm.
we we read this book. I'm gonna put us all in line, and it should work, right? And then the minute it doesn't work, you're like, well, that book sucked. Let me go get another book. And instead of
Mhm.
realizing, hey, listen, like I shared with you earlier, when I left the uniform in September of 21, those 16 years of being in law enforcement and the things that I saw and the things you deal with, the life crisis, the people hurting, the all the mental trauma you go through. It took a year and a half to get okay, right? I had to tell myself it's okay to not be okay. And then it took a year and a half to work on that to be okay. And that okay is not exactly where I want to be. I want to be better. Like you said, going out in crowds, as you can imagine, going out in crowds, that's a big thing for me. There's people everywhere. I'm watching everywhere. I'm watching people. And then I got my kids with me. I got my wife. So I think the big takeaway from that is it's the investment in you. And it's the investment in allowing the time and the development, personal development, mindset, shifting priorities, finding out too. And I love what you said about with being with your spouse and understanding what you are for her. That's huge.
Mhm.
That's monumental. I think I sometimes struggle with that because us as men we want to go out, we want to slay the dragons, we want to win all the bounty, and we want to bring it home. throw our armor down on and say, look at us. And everybody's like, woo, you killed another dragon. So what? So I think learning that and allowing the time to, I guess the best word I could use is mature that, right?
Mhm.
Man, that's awesome. And for me, I'm taking that away from this right here. I think I'm gonna label this episode mature with time, right?
Mhm.
Quite obviously, you said it, I heard it. You're still developing. You guys don't stop. You guys are always developing. I I think that's another part where people get stagnant is they think, okay, well, I reached this level, I'm good, right? I'm good. I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna kick my feet up, I'm good. But like you said, personal development should never stop. You know,
Mhm.
if you're constantly wanting to do something better, you're constantly want to be, I don't know, a better speaker, a better listener, a better role model, that takes development each and every single day. So no, man, I think that was great. Listen, I love every bit of that, brother. I appreciate you sharing what you did and being open and honest. I think that's another thing that we don't have enough of. For me, coming out of law enforcement and of course going back in for just a little bit and just leaving it again, not just a few weeks ago, I could even see the shift in when I was in how people were just brutally honest. I mean, you just I can walk in my captain's office and get drilled right down the face about something I screwed up a week ago, but we'd still have lunch together because I knew, hey, this is business. He's got to give me the what for. We'll still eat lunch together and everything's fine. To now, I was just, and for those who know our story, I was back in law enforcement for about 8 months. Um, to see the shift of people can't handle you being brutally honest these days. It's not, I want to say it's not socially acceptable because of all the things that are out there. But the problem is that, as you said it, people need to hear it. They need to hear the truth, you know, good and bad. Hey, this for that, and hey, that for this. Hey, yeah, you screwed that up, but man, you're awesome. You just need to fix this and keep moving. And I think people, maybe you can tell me how you feel about, and I think you already said it, but the word accountability, right?
Mhm.
You mentioned that and being accountable on social media. Hey, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So me being raised the way I was, my grandparents being a huge influence on it, is that I was always told your word is all you have, right? And so now that was me. That was accountability to me as a young man growing up, right? Of course, I didn't listen. I did what I wanted to do anyways. It just didn't matter. Um, but now accountability is looked at as a bad word. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable. And people get offended. Well, what did I do? You didn't do anything yet. You just said you're going to do something. I want to help you. Instead of looking at the word as accountability as, let me help you. Let me help you hold you to what you said you're going to do. They look at it as, I'm going to beat you over the head. I mean, what is your take on that? How do you feel about it?
So I think that it's what's really important is the person, somebody needs to say, yes, I want to be held accountable and need to have a conversation on what that means. So for
Sure.
example, right now I'm working with a buddy and I told him that I will text him every evening to make sure that he said that he wanted to do 4 things every single day for 30 days. And I said, and he wanted to be held accountable. I said, perfect. I'm just going to text you at the end of the day and I'm going to say, checking in, talk to me. Just so you know, I'm going to be texting you at the end of the day, because he knows I'm texting him.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
just knowing that you have that there. But that was on his terms. And I think a lot of us want to help people that don't want to help themselves. And people cry, I need help, I need this, I need that, I need this, but they don't want to do it. They just want to cry, I need help.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, like I need help with addiction and stuff like that. I just mean like, oh, my life's a mess. I'm 50 pounds overweight. I need to change something. But they're not really, they're just saying that to say that, hey, I said it, not
Right.
because they really want to do it.
Right.
Um, so and there is the honesty part because you can't freaking look me in the eye and say that you don't really want to change. You can't look me in the eye and say that, yes, I'm happy with being 50 pounds overweight, with my wife and I not having sex, with me drinking and getting plowed every weekend or whatever it is, that I'm smoking cigarettes or I'm dipping or what.
Right.
I'm really proud of myself for doing all that. You can't lie to me and say that yet. And it's not my job to judge somebody on that. Like, I'm not saying that, hey, you need to change. All I'm saying is that if somebody just laps it off, all that means, because I've been there, is
Right.
that they're avoiding the conversation with themselves. They don't
Right.
want to be honest with themselves. They don't want to take on that responsibility. They don't want to say, I am really a mess. And I
Right.
don't know where to start. I don't know if I can change it. I don't know who I'm going to be, all of those things. And so it's up to the person to really want to make the change. And sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom, and that sucks, to have to hit the bottom. But sometimes when you hit the bottom is when you get the best bounce up. Or before you hit rock bottom and you're maybe listening to things like this, or you're seeing other people, and you talked about something like the maturity of growth over time, and we want it like that. And my encouragement is to, whatever it is in our life that we want to look at and grow towards, is to look at somebody who's been doing it for a day, look at somebody who's been doing it for a week, a month, a year, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Yes.
Just look at them. Just look at them separately. And you'll see that there's a difference in all of them, right? They've matured over time.
Absolutely.
And you can kind of gather that. There's your roadmap right there. Hey, you're going to
Right.
be a week in feeling like you're on the top of the world. And then you're going to talk to the guy that's a month in and feel like, yeah, I fell on my face 3 times on week 3 or whatever. I'm just using that.
Right.
Like, oh,
Right.
okay. So I can kind of, oh, it's to be expected. So when you have those mentors and people in your life, kind of like what you're doing right here, and you can pick their brains and be like, oh, what can I expect? If we're never let down if we know what to expect. We're
Right.
always let down when our expectations aren't met. Always. That's just like when we argue with our wives. It's because expectations aren't met, right?
Right.
And because we didn't communicate it. So that kind
Correct.
of goes back to also what you had talked about slaying the dragon. It's like, is that what your wife wants? And
Right.
so here's a really big pivotal point in our lives, and my wife's and I lives, was our goals in life. Like, okay, I have goals, and these are our goals. Really? Did I ask her what her goals are?
Right.
Like, shit, no. So we sat down one day and asked each other what our goals are. And guess what? She doesn't
Right.
want a tiny house in the woods. Imagine that. She doesn't want that. And here I am thinking, yes, this is what we can go for in life. It's like, oh my gosh, what an eye opener that I've never asked what she wants.
Right.
And I think that, and from that point, we've had lots of conversations about, what do you want? What do you want from me? What you want in general, and just having those conversations. So I'm not out slaying the wrong dragon, for example, like what you
Right.
said.
Right.
Um, and when it comes to anybody struggling with like leading by example, the biggest, best piece of advice that I've learned and that I've shared is that if you are, and I use this example because this was me, if you are 50 pounds overweight, if you're smoking cigarettes or dipping, um, drinking, arguing with your wife. If you're any of those things, all of those things, part of those things, doesn't matter. If you're any of that, and your son, however old he is now, let's just pretend he either gets to or he is the age of, let's say, 22, and he says, Dad, I can't stop. I'm smoking. I can't stop smoking. What should I do? I just can't stop. My wife wants me to stop. We're gonna have kids.
Right.
What advice are you going to give your son? And it's only going to be two. There's only going to be two ways you can go with this. One is, well, just get used to it. I can't quit either. You're just going to smoke the rest of your life because it's way too hard to quit. Look at me. I can't quit.
Right.
Or you're going to say, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. And this is exactly what I did to get to, smoke free. And you can insert anything in there, whether it's smoking, drinking, 50 pounds overweight, whatever it is. Like, what
Right.
advice would you give your kids? Because if you go back to, well, I don't know, just what you should do, and that's do as I say and not as I do. And so are we, like Greg Whitmire says all the time, are we are we a warning or an example?
That's
And what
powerful. When he made that statement, man, that kicked me right in the chest. I was like, and I love that dude. And we'll have Greg on at another point in time, and I'm gonna let him loose as well. When he said that very statement, I literally stopped and I was like, how many times was I a warning?
Mhm.
I thought I was helping. It was a warning. I was like a ticking time bomb. People watching me going, well, I
Yeah.
don't want no part of that. So yeah, no,
So warnings work, like warnings work very well.
right,
But then the question is, is that who I want to be? Do I want
correct,
to be the warning, or would I rather be the example? And so, it starts with leading ourselves on everything. We have to, if we can't lead it, when I say lead, I mean like our kids, our
right,
family, or if our job, our career, if we have a team, whatever, we can't lead any of them if we can't lead ourselves. It doesn't matter. They might pretend, but they don't respect.
right, right.
And without respect, there's not going to be true leadership there. It just won't happen. Um, and the ultimate sign of, or the ultimate flex on respect is taking care of this, is taking
Yep.
care of this and this. Because if you do that, I could have somebody leading us in our company, let's say, for example, like a health and wellness company, right? And building a health and wellness team. And if my mentor, leader, coach has a bad mindset, that's going to be really tough, right? But let's say he
Right.
has a really good mindset. Like, no, I'm crushing he crushes his mindset, but his fitness is a disaster. What do I know about him? I know he has no discipline. I know that he cares, but he doesn't care enough.
Right.
He doesn't respect himself, doesn't respect his family if he has a family because he's not taking care of himself for his family. And I'm not trying to put the beat down on anyone. I'm
Sure.
just saying that's just, and so when we talk about being brutally honest, like I put a post out there on this and I got flack. People are like, that's so disrespectful to say things like that. I'm like, disrespectful to who? To
Right.
you because you don't want to take care of yourself? It's bullshit. Because if we want to lead, if that's who we want to be, then it has to start here. It just has to.
100%.
And
100%.
it doesn't mean it has to be there before you lead. It just means that, you know what? It's just making that decision that I'm taking action. This is it. I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm moving forward, And when I fail, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna pivot, and then I'm gonna redo. Right. Every time I fail, I'm going to learn pivot because we're all going to fail. It's all like you had said earlier. It's
Absolutely.
just part of the process. Like we can't be afraid to fail because that's part of the process. If we don't take action because we are afraid to fail, we will never achieve whatever it is that we say we want to achieve. And then
That
at
is
the end of our life,
facts.
we're just full of regrets instead of failures. I'd much rather have a ton of failures than a ton of regrets
Oh,
because I
100%.
will grow from the failures.
100%. 100%. Well, Chris, listen, man, I appreciate you so much. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you guys
Yes,
got
sir.
things to do. Um, I'm going to drop your hooks in the end of this. You guys can go over and follow him. Reach out to him. Amazing guy. You can hear his mindset. Chris, we're definitely gonna have you back again because there's a couple things you said there. I made some mental notes. I'm gonna write them down, and we're gonna jump on those subjects next.
Sounds good.
Again, much love, brother. I appreciate you so much. Look forward to crossing paths physically
Yeah.
soon. And putting my arms around your neck and just giving you a big hug. Again, appreciate you so much and being on here, and look forward to doing this again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely.